Welcome to Newscasting Ancient Times. On behalf of the LAMB network, I'm here with Mark David Smith to bring you Brit Hadashah accounts as though they happened today.
Welcome, everybody. I trust your week has been blessed and you've been a blessing to everyone you've come in contact with.
For those of you who've been following along with our reports on the group of people who travel through the state of Israel, led by a man named Yeshua,
We're glad to announce that our station, the LAMB network, has placed one of our own reporters within that group of followers.
the station has asked us not to reveal the identity of the columnists so as to allow them impartial access to Yeshua and his peoples. This access gives the LAMB network exclusive access to inside stories from within their network of devotees.
And this next report is from that journalist. As of this past Tuesday, Yeshua entered Kfar Nakum, and a Roman, sorry, got way off my report here. A Roman officer, army officer there had a servant who is highly regarded by his peers. This servant is, or should I say was, sick to the point of death.
Hearing about Yeshua, the officer sent some Jewish elders to him with the request that he, Yeshua, come and heal his servant. The Jewish elders came to Yeshua and pleaded earnestly with him, saying, "This Roman officer really deserves to have you do this, for he loves our people. In fact, he built the synagogue for us." The Roman officer sent word with his Jewish elders saying, "Sir, my orderly is lying at home, paralyzed and suffering terribly." Yeshua said, "I will go and heal him." But the Jewish elders said that the Roman officer thought Yeshua might say this, so he sent word through the Jewish elders saying, "I too am a man under authority. I have soldiers under me, and I say to this one, 'Go,' and he goes, and to another, 'Come,' and he comes, and I say to my slave, 'Do this,' and he does it." The Roman soldier also brought another word to Yeshua through the Jewish elders, saying, "Sir, I am unfit to have you come into my home. That is why I didn't presume to approach you myself. So I sent my friends in confidence, the Jewish elders from my province. So if you will only give the command, my orderly will recover."
Well, the report goes on on hearing this, Yeshua was astonished at the Roman officer's words and said to all the people surrounding him, "Yes, I tell you, I have not found anyone in Israel with such trust. Moreover, I tell you that many will come from the east and from the west to take their places at the feast of the kingdom of heaven with Abraham, Yitzhak, and Yaakov. But those born for the kingdom, or it might be better said, the descendants of Abraham, who will not recognize me as Messiah, will be thrown outside in the dark where people will wail and grind their teeth." Okay, then Yeshua said to the Jewish elders, "Go, let it be for you and the Roman officer as you have trusted." When the messengers got back to the officer's house, they found the servant in good health.
Not sick and not dead. Did we ever know what was wrong with this guy? I mean, it seems that Yeshua keeps running into people who are dead and sick and not being next to being dead and next to being almost sick or really sick. Or personally, I am detecting a pattern here that may need some attention going forward. And these Jewish elders, we have no reference from which to relate their affiliation. people, citizens of any city, Roman soldiers or not, don't tell Jewish elders to go here and go there to relay personal messages.
It's
I
true.
get that this officer has helped them in many ways, and I'm sure his what was it?
And orderly.
Yes, yes.
Well, and the orderly was paralyzed and suffering terribly. Of course, we don't know what it was that was causing the orderly to be paralyzed. Any number of diseases can cause paralysis. But nevertheless,
Yes, yes, nevertheless. It all worked out for them all. All in all, I think our newly embedded correspondent relayed this story well. We got what
I
we
agree.
needed for this episode of our continued archiving of this story. Eventually, especially if this Yeshua guy turns out to be someone worth recognizing as a significant character in our Jewish history, eventually you or someone close will archive these stories for our future generations.
Yeah. Sandy, I know this has been a challenge for us, at least journalistic wise, but I just don't think Yeshua and his Talmudim are going to stop or even slow down with their travel adventures anytime soon. This should be weighed out by the fact that the LAMB network found this story to be worthy of embedding a paid editor into the midst of the whole ordeal. If he's not the Messiah, in my opinion, so far he has at least turned the attention of the people and the Jewish elders towards a hope that I don't think this nation as a whole has experienced for a very long time. Um, we need hope, Sandy. And I think Yeshua is trying really hard to set that straight.
From this report going forward, Mark and I will make sure that all Yeshua's ducks are in the proverbial row. I know that there's been a couple of insinuations by others, and even Yeshua himself has alluded to being the sought after and long awaited, though hard to verbalize yet in this case, Messiah. But it's not in our purview to speculate. I just
Yep.
can't do it. I need evidence.
Yes. And at this time, Sandy, it's only a news report.
I get it. You're right. It is only a news report at this time.
That's
But
right.
if you, Mark David Smith, come into work one day and started spouting off that you had this spiritual revelation that God Most High wants you to be the Messiah, well,
Well, what?
well, this is not a subject to joke about. I'm
Uh,
serious.
that's true. That's true. That's true. I know you are. Don't forget, I've been involved in every story we've done about the would-be messiahs too, and I'm only making light of this because you and I, we've both seen and heard so many things concerning people who are wannabe messiahs.
I know you have, and we've both seen and experienced our share and more.
Yeah. Okay. All joking aside, the fact or not the fact that this Yeshua, one of many messiahs or not any messiah to come across our path, is put on our back burner while we wait for it to
Uh,
boil.
uh, Once it does boil, I'm going to clean away the dross, the waste matter, the refuse, the
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, well, we will clean away all that is wrong and analyze that which is right. At this point in time, believe it or not, I'm hoping this Yeshua character will come out on top and be who he and others say he is.
time will tell. Time will tell.
And we just can't end our report without asking that same question. So, what do you say, Sandy? Is the jury still out?
I'm not sure the jury has all the facts yet, Mark, but we are well into deliberating.
Yeah, I agree. Thank you all for joining us for another edition of Newscasting Ancient Times.
Have a blessed day. Good morning, Mark.
I've I've heard the rest of that song so many times. But
Yeah,
good morning, good day, good everything to you there, Sandy Lou. How are you?
I am very, very well. Thank you. Very good.
Very blessed.
I am blessed beyond measure.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's right. That's right. Well,
And
another.
to prove it, we've actually had rain, even more rain. It rained last night in the Texas Panhandle. So
Oh,
2 years, nothing. And a little over a week, we've had some rain. It's wonderful.
I'm sure it is. It's raining here right now.
Uh,
We get rain all the time. You guys need to move Amarillo a little closer to the ocean because
then
lots of
you get a
rain
lot.
comes off the ocean. So just move it a little closer. Your house anyway. You can move your house closer. People
There
do
we
that
go.
all the time.
That's what we'll do. Well, I found some alarming statistics yesterday.
No,
I
not
did.
Sandy.
When I was growing up, I did babysit, even at the age of 10 and 9 and 8. I was a babysitter, 11. And you never got minimum wage to babysit, even close. You got something like 25 cents an hour, or maybe if it was a good day, 50 cents an hour. Well, now people that babysit expect minimum wage and then some. I saw the rate, and I don't understand that because it
True.
was never meant, if somebody's babysitting for you, it wasn't meant like a minimum wage job. It was a teenager, a kid coming in, watching your little ones for an hour, 2 hours, maybe three, and that's it. But the statistics are huge. In fact, I have the stats for North Carolina and Texas, which
Oh,
is
great.
shocking.
Wonderful. All
Yes.
right.
In North Carolina, if you're going to babysit, so you're a mom or dad and you don't get to go out very often and you have to save up to go on this date. And then, it takes money for the food and whatever else you're doing. Well, and then you have to pay a babysitter in North Carolina $14.65 an hour. That's the average pay for a babysitter.
So, do they have to fill out like a job application and put all of their medical history and their, police history? Have they ever been arrested and all of that? And
No,
then
no.
sign the bottom part of it? Well, ain't nobody gonna get $14.70 or
But that is the
65 cents
average.
per
They
day.
are paying. It is evidence. It's
Yeah.
literal.
Well,
In North Carolina, it's average that. In Texas, it's $15.09 an hour. And that is what is actually being paid to kids going out there and babysitting. I'm sorry, I would never be able to go out because that's more money.
that's right.
Jonathan right now working his job is making less than what they pay in Texas for his job so he can have off on Shabbat and stuff. And that's ridiculous. Hey, come watch my
Yeah.
kids. Okay, pay me $15.09 an hour.
Uh-huh.
You can't
Uh-huh.
go out. Why you have to drag your kids wherever you go or pray that you have a good friend or relative around, that's for sure.
You can always lock them in the car while you go into the restaurant or go watch a movie or whatever.
I wonder if I
That's,
should send a bill because I
do
have
what?
Amariah. I have Amariah a lot. And, I could actually
Oh, I
oh,
don't, no, don't ask that
I have her
question.
I have her Tuesdays and Wednesdays, Friday night, Saturday night, Sunday. Well, man,
But wait, are you babysitting, or could what you do be,
grandma-ing.
perceived as something different?
I would
You know,
never do that. I am enjoying my granddaughter. Yes, I am sitting and taking care of her, and there are times when, especially because I have her so much, that it would be, I've got to work, but you know what? It is my granddaughter. But the point being,
I
that
get it.
is ridiculous.
I totally get it. I understand. To me, I guess it boils down to what is that job worth? It's the same as a regular. Well, I mean, let's just hypothetically, okay, put this out there. Maybe me be on their side defense. So, what is the job worth? It's the same thing as a job, and it is a job. You hired this person to come in and do this. That means they are 100% responsible for every penny of that you're paying them that worth. In other words,
Well, let me just say,
you need to give me $15
I was only
worth
worth
of
25 cents an hour,
yeah, yeah.
not
Well,
close to minimum wage. And let's just put it at this: how much is my job worth? What I do for Sukkot, Shavuot, the ministry, the
uh-huh,
congregation, etc., because I get
uh-huh,
paid zero point
uh-huh,
zero
uh-huh,
zero.
uh-huh, uh-huh. And you chose that job
No, I
knowing that.
didn't chose that. We
Yeah,
always
yeah.
had hopes because we need income, but I've got to take care of what God has given me, and I'm not going to just
Mhm,
blow it off. It's not my choice to make nothing because financially that's where we are. That's what I get. So
uh-huh,
officially,
uh-huh,
officially, the board approved back in 2009 a salary for me. But anyway,
uh-huh. The money's got to actually be there to
it's
give
got
you
to be
that
there.
salary.
That's right.
Yeah,
That's
it's got
right.
to be there to give you that salary. So,
Yeah.
yeah, well, but I was when talking about the worthiness of the amount you're paying somebody to do something. If you're going to pay that sitter, let's just call him the sitter, $15 an hour, then I want every one of our bathrooms clean,
Amen.
spotless. I want my kitchen spotless. I
Make dinner.
want I want dinner on the table when I walk in the door, and even if you're only there for an hour, that's $15 worth to me.
Agreed.
Watching my kid is priceless. I can't put a price on watching my child. It's everything else you're going to do for that money.
That's
Oh,
right.
you don't want to do those things? All right, well then.
We'll just knock some money off of that then, because most sitters, I will sit around, turn on the TV, and make sure the kid doesn't get in trouble.
Yep,
That's what
yep,
they do.
yep, yep. That's not worth $15
No,
an hour.
you
I
put
I
forth
don't
a lot
know.
of
I
effort.
just it's like, where do you put the value of what you're doing there?
Yeah,
It's true. I mean, employers, when they hire somebody, they have to weigh, the cost of money coming in and money going out, obviously, and so you place a wage. Can you pay minimum wage to this person for this many hours and still stay in business? So Can you afford to pay somebody to watch your child for that much money? Well, how many hours are you going to be gone? Oh my gosh, Sandy, what $15 an hour? What what if
It's a
you're
job.
gone for 6 hours? We're talking $90. They're paid out. So my gosh, if you, yeah, literally, yeah,
Who
yeah,
can
people,
afford to hire a babysitter? That's what I'm
yeah,
saying.
that's right. And you're paying them as much as you're making at your job.
Yeah, so
So,
what's the point? Yeah.
well, I mean, big executives that, make hundreds of thousands of dollars every year, those people can afford to pay somebody like that because
But the
they're
average
making.
Joe,
Yeah,
the
no,
average,
not the average Joe.
they
No,
can't.
not the average Mark or the average Sandy. No. See, I'm just trying to walk my way through this and
We used to
understand.
hire, I remember when back in,
Wait. I got to stop you. I got to interrupt you. 'Cause with me, if they said, "Well, I want 15 whatever an hour," I'd have to say, "What are you going to do with that money?" I'm sorry. Go ahead.
well, I was going to say,
I,
even back in like 2009 or 10 or so, or 8, somewhere in there, we had a lot of conferences and things. And so I didn't have to go back with the kids. We would actually hire some of the teenagers from the church. And I remember I did for 2 hours, I still gave them $20. So that's far
yeah.
more than what I made. So
Mhm.
anyway, and I'm not comparing because I know it's different. But my point was, back when I was young, you weren't expected to even come close to minimum wage. You just got a token. And I was happy with the token. So,
Yeah. Well, it's more to me like you're not watching TV. You are. If I'm gonna pay you that much, you're gonna spend every second of that time with my child, and have the attention of the child and the whole thing. I just have to. If it worked out to where I had to do this, then there would be some concessions here. There
I
would be
agree.
some rules. There will be, what are you going to do, and what are you going to do with the money once I give it to you? Because if you're not, I know, I know we don't have the right to say that, or ask that, but
So my
I
question
will.
is, anybody listening, if you want to chime in on chat, how much do you pay for somebody to watch your kids or grandkids?
That'd
I'm
be
curious.
interesting. That'd be good. Yeah, that'd be good. I'd like to know that too. Well, it's been a long time since we've had to have somebody watch our kids. And it's so funny because usually the kids that you get to watch your kids are not that much older than
It's
your
true.
children.
It's true. They're still children themselves. So, like, I thought I was
Usually
so
not,
big. I
not even.
remember I would walk across the street because the little boy was 2 or 3. And as I said, I was, uh, I might have been 10 or 11 at the most. And I just
Uh-huh,
thought I was such a big grown up girl,
uh-huh,
you know.
uh-huh, uh-huh. I'm sure. Well, it helps to build confidence. I mean, it's probably, I have no idea outside of America how all that works, but surely it's the same all over the world. People have to have somebody watch their children or whatever. And not everybody has grandmas.
That
To,
is true. Not everybody has grandmas. I'm going to
all
have to
right.
look this up. If you wonder what I'm doing real quick, I want to look up on Lamb Network and see if there's anybody saying anything there. So talk for a
Oh,
second while I do that.
well, it's okay. You can just go to the producer chat.
Yep, that's what
You
I'm
didn't know
doing.
that?
Yep, I get
Yeah,
there.
you did. Okay. Yeah. So No, nobody said anything since we're,
Okay.
but
So
I
nobody
don't know.
wants to tell.
Yeah, I think I think, your child. Oh my gosh, we got a couple minutes here. Your child is priceless.
It's
So
true.
whoever you're bringing in there, I mean, obviously we're starting from the point of I can afford to pay somebody $15 an hour. If I'm going to pay somebody that much, then to me they need to be an adult. That I kind of think is where I go with what are you going to use the money for? Because that's an adult amount. $15 plus is an adult's pay amount, not a not a 12-year old, not a 9-year old, not a 15-year old. That to me, in America, the United States, that 15 or $14 an hour is not what you pay somebody under the age of 17 or 18 or whatever. You get my point?
Well,
And so if I'm going to pay you
yeah.
that much, I'm hiring an adult. There are lots of adults out there that need work.
In Washington D.C., the average is 1897. In Virginia, it is 1804, and in Maryland, it's like 1850.
So we have nothing to complain about then, do we, Sandy? We have nothing to complain about. It's cheap to hire somebody here in North Carolina and
Yeah,
Texas.
because South Carolina, it's 1742.
Oh yeah, we're real cheap here in North Carolina. We're probably the lowest in the nation.
No, New Mexico's there, one of the lowest. So
How much is New Mexico?
New Mexico's 1411.
Really? That's not that much lower.
No,
Still,
it's not.
still
Everything is averaging high.
that's
So,
an adult's paycheck.
oh wait, Mississippi is 1371 and Kentucky is
Still,
1373 and Illinois is 1340.
still.
So there you go. Those are the lowest.
What? So you tell me now. Let's just go back. Let's just say you have an 8-year-old, okay, and you need to hire a babysitter because you don't have anybody else to watch them. What does Sandy think is the um, righteous amount to pay a what are we gonna say? What did I say? Like a 14-year-old or something like
I'll
that?
give them $5 to $7 an hour.
5 to 7.
And
What determines the 5 or the 7?
I don't know.
Just
I have to
just
think
off the
about
top of
it.
your head.
But it's
Yeah.
not minimum wage. It's a kid. It's coming over. I'm blessing them with the ability to get some income. And
Uh-huh.
back in the day, if you were
Uh-huh.
8, you could be the babysitter. That today you'd be in trouble. But back in
There you
our
go.
day, 8 years old, you can be
Yeah.
you're good for a little bit of time. So
Right. Right.
I grew up
Okay.
I grew up and I came home from school at the age of 6. I rode home on the bus and I took care of my brother and sister until my mom got off work.
Okay, so let's go back to the scenario. You're Sandy, and you have an 8-year-old child. And do you interview a bunch of different people, or you just have somebody in mind that you call in and okay, I'll give you $5 an hour to watch my child for
For an
3 hours?
hour or 2. Yeah.
3 hours. Let's just say 3 hours. You don't interview others. I
I
mean,
think
it's
that I would use somebody that I knew or from our congregation, uh,
okay.
that I knew they're teenagers or whomever.
What if this 14-year you offer him $5 and this 14-year-old says, No, that's not enough. Then what do you do?
Okay.
I'm interviewing other people.
I'll look elsewhere, see if some other kid wants to, and that may not work in this day and this hour. I don't know, but
Yeah. Well, okay. So then, if you can afford the $15 an hour, do you start interviewing adults to do this job? Even for it's only 3 hours, you're going to pay them $15 an hour. It's only $45. I say
oh my
only.
goodness.
You
Oh.
know. But so do you? Is that's just too much? But it's you can't go lower than that. So yeah, so these are all these scenarios that I would have to walk through. I'd have to figure out for myself. Then it's like each individual. So anyway,
Well,
you and
since
I analyze everything.
we're analyzing this and it's not really we don't really have those issues in our lives at this point in
No.
time. And
But we're helping somebody. Maybe
we're
there's somebody listening to this little segment here.
probably, if they're from our generation, their mouth is hanging open and saying, wow,
Yeah,
really? That much
exactly.
money?
Exactly. Exactly.
So,
Whereas a 25-year-old probably would,
agree.
yes. No, I think $20 an hour is more the right amount. What are you talking about? Depends on how much money you make selling drugs out on the street, I guess. And then you don't want that person to watch your
No,
kids.
no, no.
Anyway, all right. Well, this has been fun. I like this. You always come up with the great little one-liner questions that are so perfect.
But
Appreciate it.
nobody
Okay.
answered. I was hoping to get some people to answer. How much do you pay a babysitter?
Yeah, I know. I know. I know. It's the time of day. It is. We'll talk about that. All right. So we're going to jump into another segment of the show, and Sandy's going to talk to you a little bit. Then I'm going to come in and tell her what she got right. So we'll be right back.
We'll be dancing in the streets, dancing at his feet, dancing in the streets of gold. We'll be dancing in the streets, dancing at his feet.
Well, today we're going to talk about being still. Well, that's foreign concept today because many of us are running around from the moment we get up. We have this and this and this and this to do. So we're running from one thing to the next thing to the next thing to the next thing, hoping to accomplish all of it and sometimes failing miserably, but we're still moving, moving, going, going. We're almost addicted to activity. If our schedule isn't filled up, we fill it up. We choose to fill it up. Ugh. But we're moving and going, and there's rarely time to rest. There's rarely time to be still because we have demands on us. We have things that have to be taken care of. Well, maybe that's you. It's definitely me. And at times at least. And, you know, maybe you're the kind of person that wants to find something to do. In fact, it seems like you have to find something to do constantly. Maybe that's you. I don't know. Maybe you want to be involved in what's going on. You don't want to miss it. You're afraid you might miss something. So you have to know everything and be a part of everything. Or you want to fulfill your kids' ultimate desires and they want to do this and this and this. And so you're moving them from one place to the next place to the next place to the next place. And you become overwhelmed with all of this activity. So look, maybe that's you. Maybe it is you. Maybe you don't have, like, as I said, you don't have a choice, but is what you're dealing with because you don't even have the opportunity to be still. Something's always going on. You've become more, instead of a human being, you're more like a human doing because you're going, going, doing, going, doing. Well, be still. Those words, be still. That means I'm not taking matters into my own hands all the time. And if we don't take matters into our own hands all the time, oftentimes that's when we're going to see the amazing power of Yah working in our lives, moving in our lives. Maybe it's time to sift some of those things out because they're not the priority. There are other things that are the priority. And oftentimes when we are that driven and when we have that many responsibilities or that many demands on our life, you become stressed. You're maxed out on stress because you don't know how to get it all done. You keep trying to do things and they're good things, but maybe they're not the things Yah's called you to do. And Yah's saying the whole time, hey, put your burdens on me. I've got it. Put your burdens on me. I want to guide you and lead you along the way. And I'm going to tell you what direction to go. But you need to be still so you can listen to my voice and you can hear what I'm saying. But we're so not still that we don't ever get to stop and hear his voice. And when we do stop, it's usually us talking. Well, he's given us 2 ears, right? And 1 mouth. So twice as much listening than talking. That's not what we do. In fact, really, it should be about worship because in that we can hear his voice more clearly. But God intended that we listen and that we walk with him so that our battle plans and our day plans can be what he has asked us to do. And again, it may demand saying no. And I'm talking to myself, guys, because no, I can't help you. No, I can't do this. Would you please do this for me? I'll give you an example. Since John is out, I was trying to get everything taken care of. So I was only making 1 trip. And yesterday I was like, I need toothpicks for the children's craft on Shabbat because we're going to do the flags of the Israel. And I went to the store and I was going to remember. Well, guess what? I forgot. And so last night I at first thought, okay, I need to go back to the store. And I thought, no, I'm not going to. And I sent out a text message. Hey, everybody, I need 130 toothpicks. Does anybody have them or can you get them? Delegation. Yeah. Sometimes it's hard to do because you don't want to bother anybody else. That's usually my biggest thing is I don't want to bother anybody else. And then oftentimes for me, a lot of what I do has a certain skill or knowledge base required and equipment required, and people don't have my equipment, they don't have my information, or et cetera, et cetera. So you say, well, it falls on me. Well, sometimes it does, but even in the midst of that activity, we can be still. We need to sense his direction. We need to be still. We need to take that daily time to listen. Daily time. So when we have the plans and ideas, what are we supposed to do with them? We give them to Yahweh. And then when he gives them back and says, okay, this and this and this, then we both walk in that shalom, that peace, and we walk in his plan. So how do you be still? Well, you cease from striving. Put your hands down. Well, that makes perfect sense, and that's easily said. It's not necessarily easily done because intellectually we think, how can I possibly do that and get all this real life stuff taken care of? How can I do it? Well, whatever we lay down and then whatever remains of our efforts, we lay at his feet. And I'm not saying that you can just stop. No, because a lot of times you still got to do it. But he's still going to carry that burden so that it doesn't create stress and worry. And we need to make that conscious decision, that act of surrender and that transfer of wills because he is our refuge and he is our strength. So maybe we still have to accomplish all those things, but remember, it's not in our own effort. It's through him and in him. And then here's something else we need to do when we're still. Stop filling up the silence. Silence is okay. Silence between ourselves and Yahweh. Stop giving all the self-centered requests and listen. I know at our congregation, sometimes there are these moments where we've been worshiping and then you just sense his presence and there's nothing. And I know some get uncomfortable when there's silence. Silence is good because when we're silent, especially in worship, then all of a sudden our ears are more attuned to what he's saying. But some people are uncomfortable with that silence, so they have to blurt out. And that's not what Yah wants. Be comfortable with the silence. Worship him. Turn your fears over to him so you stop worrying and fretting. Leave them in his hands. And if you're running on empty, here's another one. You're running on empty because you're trying to serve and do and take care of everything. Be sure that you're camping out at his feet. Be sure that you're drinking from his stream. Be sure that you're enjoying his presence, because it doesn't necessarily mean you're giving up all your efforts. No, maybe not. But it means that you shift your trust. You shift and you remember it's not out of your own strength that you can accomplish anything. Now we ask God that he opens our eyes to what he's doing all around us. And we give him the credit, because all those things that we're doing, all those things that I'm doing, none of it's about me. I can't do anything without him. Neither can you. You're not successful without him, his wisdom, his open doors, and everything else. You have got to open it up to him. Now let's get to the Hebrew side of things. So we can look at this, be still and know that I'm Yah, to maybe cease striving and know that I'm Yahweh and I will be exalted among the nations. So cease striving, be still. The word that's usually used in Hebrew is Raphah, okay, R-A-P-H-A-H. And you can look at Psalm 46:10, be still, be still, be still and know. So this word, Raphah, implies a lot, but it's far more than just sitting quietly. If you think that's all it is, you're wrong. Yah's not interested in just us bowing our heads and folding our hands. That's not what he's wanting. He has something else in mind for us to understand. We need to understand things from his perspective. We need to see the others and see things from his eyes. Joshua 10:6 uses this word Raphah as abandon. So let's look at these other words and see if they'll give us more of a meaning for be still, Raphah. So abandon. Deuteronomy 4:31 uses forsake or the word fall. Psalm 37:8 says cease. Judges 11:37 says let alone. So here we have abandon, forsake, cease, and let alone. So what's similar in these words that use Raphah for be still in this situation? Well, every one of them has this idea of letting go of something. Letting go carries this idea of letting go of something. So that's the imagery we have in Psalm 46:10. Yah is not asking for us to just be quiet or maybe to be quiet at all. He's asking us to let go of everything else, all those things that are demanding your attention right now, that are demanding your attention. He wants us to stop striving and becoming so frantic and worrying about this and this just with the business of living. Let it go. He's requesting our full or our attention on him. He wants our full undivided attention, because only at that point, only then will the second part of this verse become a reality. No, we're not even talking about know, K-N-O-W right now. How can you know someone when you never stop to spend time with them, when you're not silent, when you're not listening? You can't. The only way it's going to happen is when we release everything and give him our undivided attention for a time. So, do you have to sneak away in a quiet corner? Maybe, but not necessarily, because some that are in that quiet place, their mind is so full of stuff that they can't hear. And then in other situations, you can be in a crowded street corner and still be attentive to his word and hear his voice because you're following him. So location isn't necessarily the problem here. It can be, but it's not necessarily the problem. And neither is your physical posture. You need to have your nose planted to the ground, maybe, but maybe not. That's not the point, because it makes no difference. What matters is the discipline of abandoning the constant stream of distraction. Those constant demands that say, here, now, do. Let it go. Maybe you still have to accomplish all of that stuff. The stuff I have to accomplish this week still has to be accomplished, but I cannot forget the times of being still, that time of listening, that time where I hearken to his voice. You need to enter that heavenly throne room, whether you're standing, kneeling, whatever it is, into his presence. And that begins with worship, folks. because in worship, your heart and your mind is going to be stayed upon him. You can't begin worshiping him and praising him and still have your mind on all those other things. It's not going to happen. It won't happen. Let go. Let go. Let go, because it's harder. It's hard to do it sometimes, but when we do it, we're going to find the reward. Abandon everything else, lay it down. So oftentimes we might find out that we don't pick everything back up. So worship him. Do you want to know him? Do you want to Yah? Do you want to know your Yah? Because he is inviting you into his presence. He's saying, hey, Sandi, hey, Mark, hey, Marilyn, I want you with me. And he's given us the steps to get there. Abandon, be still, forsake, cease. Remember all those definitions that we looked up for Rapha. Let it go. Let everything go that you're occupied with. They may be important, but compared to spending time with him, it's trivial. And here's something that we should remember. The bigger the gap between you and your life, even if it's just for a few moments, the closer you will come to him. Mark.
Okay, so maybe we should make ourselves t-shirts that say be calm and let go.
Maybe so.
Well, maybe it should be the other way around, because you got all these t-shirts that say be calm and blah, 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 blah. And we got a whole series of them now. So now we make one that says let go.
That's the word. Let it go. Abandon, cease. Exactly.
Well, that might be a good shirt to sell.
Actually, you're right. It might be a really good shirt. Get a good design on it. That it would preach. It's enough said. Enough said right there.
Enough said. There you go. Yeah. Down to bottom. Over to the enough said. Yeah. Yes. I love it. Real good. All right. Well, you remember back when, well, maybe you don't. We've not physically been in each other's presence a lot, except at the very beginning and different things. But still, I was very well known for most of my life as being 100-mile-an-hour man. And that's what you are. You go, but you find a balance. You try to find a balance. I never did. I could care less about, slowing down or whatever. When my mind thought of something, I acted. This is the fact. I once went to my rabbi, Monty Judah, and Monty and I there would be times we'd get together and just sit around for hours and talk about things. And there was one time I physically went to him at Sukkot in his trailer, and I said, Monty, tell me what you see about me. What is your impression of me, knowing me over the years? And he hardly hesitated and said, well, you don't slow down. You act immediately on. He told me, he says, I have seen you act on things right away without thinking. And that in itself can be detrimental. And so to be 100-mile-an-hour man and constantly going and not taking the time to hear from God, but just expecting that, I'm doing the Lord's work. Why wouldn't I be hearing from God all the time? I mean, we're supposed to pray continuously. In my mind, that means that I'm constantly in God's presence. See, if you're praying, then you're in God's presence. So if you're praying continuously, that means I'm in God's presence all the time, whether I'm working or not working. So why slow down? I mean, I've got things to do, and the whole thing. So now at 68 years old, for I would even say as many as 2 or 3 years, 4 years now, maybe, I have slowed down a lot. And it is a choice. It's not so much of just the fact that I've got loads of things to do. As a matter of fact, I put it, I put how much I need to get done on myself. There is rarely, now with you, it's a little bit different because you have a congregation, you have duties, you have things that has to be taken care of, and people that you don't have to take care of certain things. And we'll get to delegation in a minute. But with me, it's different. I don't have those responsibilities. I have a wife who would like to have certain things done, but she rarely gives me a time limit or I need this now or whatever. It's usually I know the list of things that need to be done and I put it on myself. I always have, but that is because I have the ability to do those things. So I just keep doing those things. I go from one project to another, to another, to another. And the problem with that too is you rarely finish anything. I do. I do, but it's the process. In other words, if I have 14 different projects going on, I'm going to work on whichever one I feel like at that time. And eventually they will all get done, but it always leaves a few hanging. This is not right. This is not good. It's not good. I learned that I was not always in God's presence. Oh, shock of all shock. No, I'm not always in God's presence because I'm not listening to him. If he's trying to talk to me, I'm not listening, because I'm too busy with everything. It's interesting. The word business is divided up, is busyness. And that's what a business is. It's busyness. And I think that's what I got in my mind is that I need to get things done. It's my business to get things done. So I'm going to be busy all the time. There's a balance. And I think that's one thing I see in you, even though we're in two different states, 1,500 miles away and whatever, is I still see a balance in you, though, that you at least know that being calm or taking the time is there for you, maybe not as much as you should. Another thing you mentioned was the fear of missing out, FOMO. That really will cause you to not listen to God. There's a fear there. It is a fear. And a fear of missing out means is that I have to be busy to the point of either making something happen or making sure I'm where things are happening, that type of thing. Delegation. You mentioned delegation. Delegation is an acclamation. Unless somebody just says, okay, this person is in charge and you're going to listen to them and do what they say. For your instance and your situation, I can see a delegation meaning people that respect you. And if you call them, you can do things. Well, that is accumulated over time to the point where people, to me, I would assume people, hopefully, the right people will just notice that these things need to be done, and you don't have to delegate to them. That to me should be a normal acclimation, and then you do have the time to settle back. I'm speaking of all of these things based on the fact that you and I live two completely different lives. You know, you have your congregation, you have your people. I don't even have any friends here. You know, I mean, I don't have anybody. I have my wife. She's my friend. We spend a lot of time together and everything. But I don't have to be busy about anything anymore. I think it's more of where we place ourselves has to do with our busyness and being able to hear God. Anymore since I've moved to where I live right now, and we don't have people around us all the time. We don't have a congregation that we're a part of. I used to be. I used to be a part of all of that, you know, but not anymore. So I don't have to be busy to the point of where I don't hear God. I do hear God. I do take that time. But I think I'm also here in this position because I have overwhelmed myself before by being too busy. And whether I, inadvertently placed myself here to slow down, or God placed me here to slow down. You know, the Lamb Network has done a whole lot more with me being able to listen to the Lord and concentrate on it rather than being somewhere where I'm busy all the time and can't put my efforts into it. So there's a balance. You know, it all has to be in a balance and discipline. Discipline. That's the real key to it. I have been in points of my life where I was not disciplined at all. I didn't let go and be calm. I was not disciplined. I just was at. It's like Mary and Martha's, situation of constantly busy and constantly doing things. And there's different types of people. So that's my spiel on it.
Good spiel.
Thank you. It's different people. Different people have different areas that they have to work on.
Well, and you're right. And I think the thing that we need to come down to the most on that is sometimes you can't get rid of the activity, but you still make time. It's like tithing your money. Somehow, if tithe will be the first thing that you do, that's never yours in the first place, then all of the sudden everything else works out. When you give him, and if it's the first thing, not the afterthought, it needs to be the first. You seem to always have more than you have. Everything's taken care of. Maybe our time, if we give him what he's due, then the rest of our time will seem to be multiplied, even though it's not. We'll be able to get much more accomplished because we put it all in his lap and we are spending time in his presence.
Very true. Be busy about the Lord.
Very good. Yes. Be busy about Yahweh.
Let him balance things out. I'm tired of doing it. You're just a kid. You got a long ways to go. So
I will be 57 years old next week.
57.
Yep.
Still a kid. Just a kid. Stay there.
Yeah, next Thursday. I'll be 57.
You will next Thursday? Mm-hmm. Oh, so that's why we're not doing a show next Thursday?
No, I will be at Lake Paladura doing Shavuot.
I was just giving you a hard time.
Preparation. Yes.
I know that. All right. Well, let's go to our third. We'll be right back. And Sandy and I'll see how much fun we can have about a new topic here. So we'll be right back.
We'll be dancing in the streets, dancing at his feet, dancing in the streets of gold. We'll be dancing in the streets, dancing at his feet.
Sandy,
Yo,
at the first part of the show, when we come off of newscasting ancient times, you always ask me a question. So I'm going to ask you a question this time.
yes, sir.
Are you a conspiracy theorist?
No, I'm a conspiracy factist.
Explain thyself.
Because much of the things that the media, the left, would want you to consider as conspiracy is actually fact.
Okay.
You know, if you say something often enough, you can gaslight the people to think, oh, well, that's just a bunch of and nobody should listen. And so they don't look and they don't see. And I live with John, so I get to know there's a whole bunch of stuff out there. And if you think the people in charge are out to do good for you, you are wrong. There you go.
You get the greatest smile. Okay, so here we go. I'm going to take this from, and you're going to love this where I'm getting this from. It's a website called livescience.com. Okay, and I'm sure that they would never lie to us. They would never give us misinformation. That's the next topic is misinformation. So from livescience.com, it says, what is a conspiracy theory? A conspiracy theory is the belief that two or more actors have coordinated in secret to achieve an outcome, and that exposing this conspiracy is of public interest. At its core, a conspiracy theory is a belief that there is a small group of shadowy people who control everything in the world. This is why we get conspiracy theories about climate change being a hoax. It's because conspiracy theorists believe this nefarious group wants to control us. So how do such theories grow and prosper? What makes someone or a group of people adamant that they are being lied to and that they are being deliberately misled by a cabal of concealed truth twisters? Conspiracy theories begin with us trying to understand complex events. Let's see. Conspiracy theories arguably offer simple solutions to complex problems. So, is it okay to be a conspiracy theorist, or is it not? Should you be a conspiracy factist like Sandy over here, like Sandy, or not? Go ahead.
Well, I will say this: if you don't think there's not a group that's in charge, that even admittedly they don't even hide it anymore, that is out.
That's true. That's true.
To do the world harm. Let's reduce the population to 500 million by 2025. You know, that they don't even hide that. If you think that the things happen, that people are out for your good, after living in the real world, then you have your head in the sand as an ostrich, buried. And here's the thing: conspiracy. Again, who flagged and who coined this terminology? Because those who are, what it is a group of people whose eyes have been opened. I don't remember which pill on the matrix you take to know that the truth, because I don't know. Which is it? Which pill do you know? Is it the blue
Do
or
I
red?
know?
Yeah.
It doesn't make any difference because neither one of them do anything. It's
Okay.
all in the head.
Well, whatever it
You
is,
haven't seen the fourth movie then.
I
The fourth
haven't.
movie explains neither one of them had any power over
I don't
Neo
even
at all.
think that I've seen all of the 1, 2, and 3 yet. But nonetheless, for us to go about in this world and think that everybody's out for our good is really naive, because all you have to do is turn on the news and you hear the news and then you hear the truth. We've been living out some of these things because they're approaching fast, because ultimately the enemy's out to steal, kill, and destroy. So those people that have been labeled by more liberal people to minimize and or even cause their words and their ideas to be ignored, because we've been minimized by the left and by the liberal people, because they don't want the people whose eyes have been opened to spread their words. That's why you have so many in a certain party, not necessarily parties are good, but that are actually walk out and say, hey, there's more going on here than meets the eye. And I don't think that definition actually said that conspiracy theorists explain something away simply. I actually disagree with that. Sometimes it's very complex, and it takes actually studying, which we're Hebrew. So we believe that studying something out and auditing what we believe is extremely important. For those that have been labeled conspiracy factists or theorists, the thing is they've studied things out. They didn't just take the fact as JoJo or Bobo or
Yeah,
whomever
right,
said, the media.
right.
They actually started studying things out and went, oh, and I didn't know. And so that really falls in line with who we are. And when they studied things out, they realized there's more to the story, and that the enemy is alive and well and working through those people that are in power. And so I do not like the word conspiracy, because it's really not. It's just being awakened to the truth. Just as we have been awakened to the truth of his word, we're also being awakened to the facts of what's happening out there. Before I married John, and even many years into marrying John, I was one who believed that everybody was out for my good. And
Right.
then and then John began to say, Sandy, read this and study this out. 1 + 1 = 2, but they say it equals 3. Here's why. And as he began to study and give me information, then I began to study. I was like, my viewpoint of the world had completely shifted. And now I am skeptical, but I'm also one who I want to go study it out. I'm not going to take those things for myself unless it's from John, because I know John's already studied it out. um,
I
but
agree.
it's people who have actually evaluated the information being given to them. And so to marginalize their ideas, they call them conspiracy theorists. So,
That's good. That's good. Well, the definition of conspiracy is two or more people that have conspired to do something.
but
Doesn't
the,
even
the
have to
media,
be bad or good.
but the media, if they say that, it's derogatory.
I get it. No, I totally understand. I'm with you. It was really good on what you explained there, because I have so often said that the difference between Christianity and our messianic lifestyle is the fact that the majority of Christians just became Christians based on something somebody told them. They read the Bible, they went to church when they were a kid and went down to the front to the altar and said this little prayer. They got baptized. The majority of Christians became Christians because of that. The majority of people living the messianic lifestyle, the majority, I would probably say, come from Christianity. And the difference between the two is that Messianics actually searched it out. They had already been taught, they already believed in the gospel, the Yeshua's walk, who he is, all of that. But they were told something that's what happened to me and most everybody I've ever talked to, is they went and searched it out and they found out for themselves and decided from that point on that now I'm going to start, believing this way. Not that some things aren't the same. Anyway, just exactly what you said. So could Messianics just be in general conspiracy theorists?
According I believe that if the world would concern itself with that sort of thing, they would say yes.
Yeah, I get it. I get it. Different ways to look at it. Now, for instance, my wife, she questions everything. Okay, and I, I get to hear her thoughts on those things. She gets to hear my thoughts on there, and I've said for years and kind of laughed about it. Is that my wife is a conspiracy theorist because she questions everything. In other words, she hears what John or her sister or somebody else says about a certain issue, and she goes checks it out for herself. I mean, I remember way back when, years ago, when she introduced me to Snopes. Is that how you say it? Snopes, S-N-O-P.
Don't get me going on Snopes. It's a left wing.
Okay, well, but I'm just saying she told me about that, where she went in and would check things out, and they would say whether or not they found this or anything like that. I haven't in years. I haven't checked it out, but
they don't speak the truth either. So yeah.
Well, I know. My point is that up until that point, I just accepted whatever I.
So you were like me.
Yeah, I was like you. It's like these people can't be possible. Okay, these people can't possibly be wanting to do me wrong or tell me wrong things. And it really wasn't even that so much as when somebody talks about something like, for instance, landing on the moon is a conspiracy theory. A lot of people conspiring to say that was put on and all this kind of stuff. And I remember back when that happened, that my thought goes to that takes a lot of people to pull that off. If it's fake, you see what I'm saying? It takes a lot of people to pull that off. And how are you going to get that many people together to pull off something that, oh yeah, because of your YouTube?
No, I was saying to kill them.
Kill who?
Well, a lot of times people they get rid of people. I will say this, that has been one that I have sort of believed that's true, that we did. And then there's lots of evidence popping up, like the guy who was set up in the film crew in New Mexico.
Right.
And they ask this question is, come on, people, how they take their first step and there's a camera there? Really? Mm-hmm. And he started pointing this out because he was on the film. I did. And so now I'm like, okay. So maybe things aren't as what I thought they were, that's a new one. So how does it take? I know that on our movies, when somebody has been part of a plot to do something, they kill them off so that the voices aren't there. Uh-huh. Mm-hmm. So that's what I was meaning when I was doing that.
I get what you're saying. And I heard when we were doing segments to fill in for shows We have a lot of shows that don't go the whole hour, so we have to fill in segments at the end. Like, for instance, this right here will end up being a segment that we fill in somewhere on down the line. And I was listening to you and John talk about this exact deal about the landing on the moon.
I was
And
shocked.
it hadn't been but a few days ago that I heard you. And since then, I've actually seen that footage and looked at it and thought, really, it's not a problem, because where that camera was hooked to the actual, spaceship that came
Limb.
down, or landing deal or whatever like that. Anyway, anybody can go any direction they want to on it. I'm just saying that my problem has always been, it takes a lot of people with the same intention to pull something like that off and then keep it secret. And
But then
then
the point is, have
submit
they
it
kept it
to
secret? So,
but then you'd have to take that video and put it out there on the public television and tell everybody and get all the big name newscasters and the big name people. You see my point is that's always been my problem, is that I just have trouble believing that, like 2020, how many people it had to be that they had to pull together to pull this off, and all the other different.
well, I don't think, now for me, that one's on the shelf for me now. I can't say either way after listening to about that guy and stuff, because that used to be one that I said, yes, we landed on the moon and all that. But back then too, the production was much smaller, and things were different. You don't have to have as much as you think. But with that being said, I can't say yay or nay. But it's like we said it in newscasting ancient times. I want more evidence. I'm still looking. I'm in the room deliberating now on that specific one, because I wasn't in the room at all before last week or whenever John dropped that bombshell. So, I was like, oh. But I do know that things that have happened, I'm going to be very careful here.
I'm trying
That
to be too.
Where things have come down, towers and things are, I know my initial, there's a lot more there, or the fact of what actually happened there is far different than the narrative. I'll just say that. And the evidence is huge. I mean, it's a no-brainer sort of thing. And the same with OKC and some other things. And even a lot of the shootings and things have been happening to push an agenda. And when you go and look at what they're about and how it was instigated, not all, but many of them, a good majority of them, have been pushed into doing these things to push an agenda to remove constitutional rights. So I do not believe that things in the United States, at least, are as they seem to be. And if we walk around thinking that what we hear in general in the news media is fact, then we are far mistaken, because usually it is opposite. And anything you hear in the news is the truth is probably opposite of what you hear. And do we have time to go study every little thing out? No, but others have. And so you've got to find trusted sources and resources, because we would spend all our time studying this and this and this to see if it was factual. But the ultimate thing is we need to see how it plays in the timeline of the word. And the word says, the word has told us basically that destruction will come. In fact, if you go without the word and you look in general at how nations rise and fall, It's about 200, between 2 and 300 years that nations rise and fall. And they usually fall from the things that we're doing now. And inevitably. So it is a pattern that we're following, not only in the word, but even physically, that's normal. But the word says, the word, and here's how we measure everything. The word says these things are going to happen. The word says you gather with like mind and like kind. The word says we put our focus on him and his feast days and his festivals and his word and living it out. And the word also says we do not fear. The word says that we remember who we are and whose we are, and we take dominion. Now, are there going to be challenges? Yes. But the bottom line is we know this world's going to be destroyed, and we know this nation and everything else is coming into destruction because of what we're doing. But we don't fear it. He already gave us the blueprint. We knew it was going to happen. It's just hard watching it happen. When something that you believed in, it's hard watching. And I'm specifically talking about the US here because we're United States citizens. It's hard watching something that you grew up loving and a standard of truth that was there that is just
Very
crumbling
Very
beneath your
true.
fingers.
Very, very true. Very, very well said, because that is dead on how I feel too. It's hard to and we knew that it had to happen. I mean, God had to know it had to happen. The more we so-called progress in technology, if you really want to call it that, it's more of I guess progressing is the right word, but the more we progress in technology, the more you have two sides for everything. It doesn't make any difference, because who do we believe with all the technology? Who and what we hear do we believe? Because I mean, even AI, there and this chat GPT, all of these different things that are now coming out. I saw an interview with Bill Gates the other day that said he was scared of AI.
With whom?
He says it's going to Bill Gates.
Oh,
Bill
I saw
Gates
that. I
said
saw
he
an
was
article
scared.
that said he was leery of AI as
Yeah.
well. But then let's look at all the
Yeah.
shows. Yeah, because this goes
Yeah.
back to movies, because they always say what they're going to do within the movies. And any technology we see in movies, we are at least 50 to 100 years ahead
Sure.
of anything we already see. So, but I saw that same thing.
Yeah.
Bill Gates was,
Yeah.
yes, worried
Yeah.
about
He
AI, leery, scared.
literally said, yeah. But so there, why? Because it's going to be in control, and the people that are people, human beings, they're in control, have got to be scared to death of AI, because AI will eventually. I mean, just watch the Terminator. Now, we all know the Terminator's real. It's based on a true story. It may be in the future, but you got to understand that AI is going to take over the world. The robots are going to take over the world.
iRobot.
Skynet. Yeah, iRobot was great. Okay, joking around, but seriously, it's already happening.
But think about how much it's coming out more and more. The Star Trek Discovery, that talked about it, iRobot, and we can name so many movies and television shows that are saying that narrative. Well, why? Is there fact within that? Is it prediction? Do we, there is. I mean, it's something we always need to be cautious about, and just like everything else. I mean, something that AI does do, it removes jobs. It has. I mean, now it's just become the run of the mill thing. But it removes the personal factor of life. I even going to stores and self checkouts and all these things, I liked having the personal contact and making sure a job was there for somebody to check me out. And
True.
anyway, we could go on and on with that, but Bill Gates leery of AI,
Mhm.
and Bill Gates has in the know of some of the bad stuff that's going on because he's part of it. So
That's right.
maybe we
He's
should
part of it. Yep.
heed his words.
Yeah. I don't know. Interesting. Well, we're down to the last minute here. So very
Good topic.
interesting stuff. And it's a lot of different ways to go with it. Yeah, good topic. Yeah. So, and I just sprung it on you. So, we all have our ideas of things. Well, good topic, and we'll see what happens. We won't be here next week, but we'll be here the week after. So, happy birthday, Sandy.
Thank you. Thank you.
What'd you say? You're 27?
Yeah, that's it.
Wow,
That's
you're
it.
just moving right along there. So don't pay anybody too much for babysitting. That's all.
I won't.
That's the
I'll
last.
make sure I don't.
All right. Well, I'm gonna give you the last word after I tell everybody that submit your prayer requests on the homepage of the landnetwork.tv homepage. You can see up the top, and also you see there the on-demand shows. This show will be up in the on-demand section along with every one of the other shows up on the on-demand section. Just click on that, find a day, find your show. Lots of different ways, like 6 different ways to the on-demand show that you're looking for. So do that, and we'll see you in a couple of weeks. Have a great Shavuot and take time to rest and be calm. Let go and be calm, Sandy.
All right. Got it.
It's all yours.
All right, Father, we come before
Pray.
you and we thank you for our time together. And we thank you that we get the opportunity to do a show like this and get your words out, have a little fun along the way, and maybe bring some things to people's attention. Thank you for giving us this platform. And thank you for opening our eyes to see your truth. Father, let us truly take time to hear your voice so that we know how to navigate this day and this hour, that we do let go of the things around us, even if there are responsibilities, and listen to what you put in our lives. But Father, let us truly listen to your words and listen to your direction so that we go where you go, say what you say, and do what you do. Father, it's about you, and we trust in you. We have faith, not fear. We trust in you. We give it all to you in Yeshua's name. Amen.
We are richly blessed to bring you what we believe is the fullest, most diverse, yet up-to-date progressive teachings, discussion, and prayer programming you can find anywhere on this planet. Be sure to take the tour of the MessianicLambRadio.com website. I'm Susan Hoogie, thanking you for joining us on the Messianic Lamb Video Network.